Hi. I already took the medicine that knocks me out, so I need to talk quickly before that happens, but, I just wanted to give a quick little update. I made a video like a month ago. In that video, I talk about how my cat had recently ran away. I think it had been like 2 weeks at that point. And I never uploaded it because I was really depressed. And I just wanted to say, Libby is still gone. We haven't seen her at all. And it's really, really sad, but it's getting better. And it's getting easier, I'll say that. And I believe in that video I talked about having a hard time connecting with my other cat as deeply as I had been connecting with Liberty. And I think I remarked on whether we just don't have as deep of a connection or if it was just me being too depressed to do so. Turns out it was me being too depressed to do so. Dorothy and I are now best friends. She is extremely pregnant with incest babies. But I've looked into it a bit. Okay. Apparently incest isn't that bad in cats unless it's like a long line of incest. I'm hoping at least. I want whatever kittens she has. Hi, baby. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be intelligent enough to live and healthy enough to live a long, healthy life. And a long, healthy, happy life. And another thing I want to talk about is I'm sorry that I haven't been making videos. I don't know who I'm apologizing to. I think maybe 2 people have noticed. I was just in a really bad place for a long time. And I'm not in an amazing place now. I'm not quite as depressed, but my anxiety is still really, really bad lately. But now that I'm kind of crawling myself out of that hole, I want to start trying to make videos again. Because I don't really have friends in real life, and I don't really have anyone that takes pictures of me in real life, so in a weird, sad way, I think these little video diaries are kind of the only way I can like visually track my progress in life and look back on what I looked like and what I sounded like and what I was up to at this age in this year, you know. Also, I just miss talking to y'all. So I am spending a lot of time shrimping. I'm working on a shrimp boat, and when I work on a shrimp boat, I stay in a very tiny room that is surrounded by a bunch of people, so I can't talk, I can't even move on the creaky mattress on the floor without everyone around me hearing me. So while I am down there, I can't really make videos. 99% of the time I can't really make videos, but in the short spans of a few days at a time that I am home, I really want to make more videos. And also, I have not been writing at all. It's been at least 2 months, maybe even longer, since I've written anything for my book. And I'm really, really ashamed of that. And for a while, it definitely was the depression. You wanna know what I did when I was depressed? I played Minecraft. I played Minecraft for probably 14 hours a day, every day, for like 2 months. And it's really embarrassing and it's really pathetic because, like, I don't know. I feel like when you're depressed, you should just lay down dramatically. I'm trying to think of the words, like a Victorian female oligarch always fainting at the slightest of woes. I feel like depressed people don't deserve to have fun. That's how I feel in my heart. I don't think depressed people deserve to have fun or do things that distract them from their pain. So I'm really embarrassed that I played so much Minecraft while I was but I don't know, it was either do that or wallow while I do that. So I played a lot of Minecraft. But now that I'm not quite as depressed anymore, I still haven't written anything. And I've realized why. It's because when I do something and I take it seriously, me and my entire being, I revolve around that task and that goal. When I used to write scripts for videos and spend a ton of time editing my videos, it was me. It was the only thing I could do. It was the only thing I could think about. I would give myself panic attacks for hours every single day because every single second that I wasn't working, showering, or sleeping, it needed to be dedicated to progressing my content creation in some way. So if I ever was overwhelmed and needed to take a little break from scripting, from filming, from editing, I would be like, no, I can't take a break, I need to keep doing it, and I would stress myself out, and I would have panic attacks that would last weeks and weeks, basically. And some doctor's probably gonna get mad at me for describing that as a panic attack, but that's how it felt. So that's how that consumed my life. And when I have been writing this book, it hasn't been quite as bad. I've learned how to give myself breaks and stuff, but it's still, like, creatively it consumes my soul. Like, it's hard for me to think about other things, and it's not super dark, but it's a pretty dark topic for a book, and I have trouble writing these characters without really putting myself in the mindset of these characters. So I'm sitting there thinking about death and dying and suicide all day. And I feel it in my heart. It's the weight of trying so hard to write this book and to get in the proper mindset to write a book that has such a dark subject matter, and also the idea I have in my head that my entire future rests on this book being good and people wanting to read it. It is my only prospect in life. I just get so stressed out 24/7 whenever I write, and I love writing. It's so rewarding, it's so fun, but it's also extremely stressful for me because of the way my brain works. And I haven't been writing because I've become, like, deeply terrified of that stress. The stress that I haven't been able to avoid at all, no matter how hard I try. It's like I can't work without it consuming my entire being and becoming this extremely taxing activity that I can't get a break from unless I completely disconnect from it and do not work on it at all. So I've been too terrified to start writing again. And I'm telling myself I'm not at 100%. I'm still struggling mentally. I don't want to go back into that, but when I go back to shrimping in a few days, I'm going to put myself back there and I'm going to start writing again. I've had some frustrating doctor's appointments recently. I was supposed to see my general practitioner again for the first time, but instead I just saw his nurse practitioner for the second time. I saw her the first time. I was supposed to see the actual GP this time, but instead I saw the nurse practitioner again. And the previous day I had gone to my psychiatrist, and she basically she makes me fill out this stupid form every time, and it's like, on a scale from 1 to 4, how many days a week do you think about killing yourself? On a scale from 1 to 4, how many days a week do you think the world would be better if you weren't in it? Every time I have to fill it out, and she bases the entire session off of my answers to those questions. In this last session, I tested low for depression, but high for anxiety. And she sat me down, she said, look, we've tried everything. Which is crazy, because like 2 months ago, she was like, we have so many options. Now she's like, girl, we've tried everything. And none of it's working, so we need to do something else. She checked my heart rate twice, and she was like, is your heart rate always this high, and your blood pressure always this low? And I was like, yes. And she was like, well, some people who have a naturally higher heart rate, that also carries a really intense, heavy feeling of anxiety that never goes away. So I want to put you on beta blockers to lower your heart rate. But the thing is, you have an extremely low blood pressure, also, naturally. So you need to eat a fuck ton of salt and drink a fuck ton of water to see if you can get your blood pressure up, so that we can put you on beta blockers and see if that helps your anxiety. And she was like, do you have a regular doctor? And I'm like, I'm supposed to see him tomorrow. And she's like, okay, ask that doctor about tips on how to get your blood pressure up. And I was like, should I take salt tablets? And she was like, no. Ask that doctor for tips on how to get your blood pressure up, and if they think beta blockers would be a good idea for you. You know, whatever. So I go to the nurse practitioner, and I'm like, also my psychiatrist wanted me to ask you, she's trying to put me on beta blockers, but I have a naturally really low blood pressure, so she wanted me to ask you about diet, things I could change to see if I could get my blood pressure up, and just get your opinion on the whole thing in general. And she turned to me and she said, so she wants me to put you on a pill so she can put you on a pill. And I was like, no. She asked me to ask you about diet changes and your opinion on different beta blockers and which one could maybe help for me. And she was like, well, I'm not putting you on a pill to up your blood pressure just so she can put you on beta blockers. I was like, I'm not asking for that. And she was like, no, you're not going on beta blockers, bye. So now I have to wait another 6 weeks before I can see my psychiatrist again, and I just have to live with this anxiety until then. And even then, she might not put me on anything different. She might just be like, Jupiter, it sucks to suck. This is your life forever. I can't say this without sounding like a junkie, but I just want to be on benzos so bad. I've taken Klonopin a few times. It only did anything once, but the one time it actually helped me, she prescribed it to me for panic attacks, by the way. The one time it actually helped the panic attack, it was like the best feeling in the world. Like, I was happy. There was no stress on my shoulders, on my back, and my heart, and my head. I just felt like lightheaded, and like I didn't have any problems, and I was happy. And I was like, am I high? Is this what it feels like to be high, or is this just what normal people feel like all the time? And since I had that one singular, extremely positive experience with a benzodiazepine, and since all of my blood tests that my psychiatrist did came back extremely positive for interactions with benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines are supposed to work really well for me, but she will not let me try one, and I feel like I've tried every single anxiety medication, and none of them have ever helped. And she just won't let me try benzos. And I don't know how to bring this up to her again without sounding like a fucking addict that's just trying to get pilled up all day. Like, she put me on Adderall. I feel like Adderall is a really common drug that people like to try to get prescribed just so they can abuse it. And I hated Adderall. I feel like if I was gonna try to get drugs to abuse, I would have kept going with the Adderall, but I don't know, I've been seeing her for like 6 years, and she's just like, nah, benzos aren't for people like you. So, I don't know, I guess either next time she's gonna put me on another combination of medicines that aren't gonna work for me, or she's just gonna tell me to fuck off and deal with it. So I don't know. I'm really happy I decided to sit down and talk to you, but I can feel myself knocking out. So, thank you so much for watching. If anybody decides to watch this, I'm sorry I've been gone for so long, but I'm really grateful that we're both here again. So, thank you so much for watching. Amen. How do I?